All right, what's up guys? So welcome back, Nutrition 101, part 3. In part 1, we picked your goal. In part 2, we set your calorie target. In part 3, I'm gonna show you guys how to set up your macronutrient target. So 3 macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. Every single calorie that we picked from our former video in part 2 is made up of one or a combination of a couple of those macronutrients. So we're gonna go over how to manipulate them for our goal, okay? So super simple stuff. Like I said last time, don't overcomplicate it, just get started, okay? So let's look at the first one, protein. So I didn't put it up here, I think I put it in the last slide, but there are 4 calories for every 1 gram of protein, okay? It is the most important macronutrient to manipulate for body composition results, right? So fat loss and muscle gain or muscle retention during fat loss, very important. So a great range to be on this one is at 0.8 to 0.12 grams per pound of body weight, okay? 1 gram per pound of body weight is golden, right? Is like ideal for like 99% of the population, okay? So if you're 100 pounds, eat 100 grams of protein a day. Okay, perfect, super simple. If you're 150 pounds, eat 150 grams of protein a day. If you're 200 pounds, eat 200 grams of protein a day. Great place, okay? Yeah, there's the example. And then so this 200 grams of protein, 200 times 4 equals 800 calories from protein, okay? When and like where does this number change, okay? A really good example that I've seen a lot is with females, especially if their main goal is like weight loss, fat loss goal, right? And they're not like super concerned about maintaining every single last bit of muscle tissue they have on their body during their fat loss phase. And they're eating like, you know, pretty low calories, like, you know, I mean, it's all relative, right? But like, say they're eating like 1,200 calories and they weigh 140 pounds, right? I'm not gonna have them eating 140 grams of protein and only on 1,200 calories. Like that doesn't leave that many calories for carbs and fats. So it is goal dependent, right? But the benefits of protein are, it's the most satiating of the 3 macronutrients. So if you go really low protein and low calorie, you're gonna be hungrier, as if you went at the same amount of calories and ate more of those calories from protein, you'd be more satisfied, right? It conserves muscle, conserves strength. Your body needs it for like hair, teeth, skin, and nails. Like it's really important for that kind of stuff, even past just like skeletal muscle. So that's the first number that we set, right? So either go 0.8 times your body weight to 0.12 times your body weight. 1's a great place to be, and your protein is set, right? So super simple there. It's like that 1 gram per pound of body weight is really important if muscle preservation is important to you in a fat loss phase, okay? In a muscle gain phase, you can, in a lot of times, get away with being closer to that 0.8 if you want to, just because you're in a caloric surplus. Catabolism, that's how you say it, not catabolism. Catabolism, which is the reduction of the amount of muscle you have on your body, is a lot more likely in a caloric deficit. It's a lot less likely in a caloric surplus, so you can get away with less protein when you're in a mass phase. So that's it on protein, right? So you've got calories, you've got protein, okay? Next, dietary fat is the next number to set. So 1 gram of fat contains 9 calories, okay? A great place to be on this one is 0.3 to 0.5 grams per pound of body weight in grams of fat per day, okay? So an example for a 200 pound person, 60 to 100 grams of fat. So 200 times 0.3 is 60, 200 times 0.5 is 100, so 60 to 100 grams of fat per day. We'll do right in the middle, so 0.4 is 80 grams of fat per day equals 720 calories, okay? Fat is second on the list. It's also mandatory because it controls your hormones, right? You don't want to be going lower than 0.3 grams per pound of body weight. It's not good to do that long term. For like testosterone, if you're a male, a lot of like reproductive hormones in males and females, it's just not good to mess with going low in fat, okay, like super low, right? Like 60 grams of fat for a 200-pound person is pretty dang low. So at that 0.3, you're already going low. Going higher than 0.5 grams per pound of body weight, you know, takes those calories from either protein or carbs, and those are both things that we do not want to subtract calories away from over half a gram per pound of body weight. There's just not much benefit in going any higher than that, okay? So that's dietary fat, super easy. You know, 80 grams of fat, 720 calories for our example, okay? Obviously, all this stuff is personal to you and your goals. Then lastly, carbohydrates, super simple here, fill in the rest, okay? So we've got a 2,500 calorie target. Let's say like from our last video, or our last two videos, we chose a goal of maintenance and we maintain on 2,500 calories, okay? So of that 2,500 calories, 200 grams of protein, which we, you know, decided on 2 slides ago, it's 800 calories, 80 grams of fat, 720 calories. So of our 2,500 calories, we subtract away the protein and the fat, we're left with 980 calories to come from carbohydrates. 980 calories divided by 4, there are 4 calories in every gram of carbohydrate, equals 245 grams of carbohydrates per day, right? So our final numbers in this example would be 2,500 calories, 200 grams of protein, 80 grams of fat, 245 grams of carbohydrates, okay? That's like perfect. That's ideal for this example, okay? To simplify things, this is the way that I love to do it, okay? Like obviously, ideally, we would hit all 3 of those previous numbers exactly, but a way to do it where you're not going to experience any like really downsides, and it really simplifies things when you're doing this stuff long term, is to try to be, so if you're in a deficit, how do I want to say this? The best way to put it is you only track calories and protein, okay? You track towards your calorie target, you make sure you're either at or above your protein target, and then you let the carbs and fats kind of fall where they may with like whatever foods you decide to have for that day, okay? Usually they're gonna balance out very nicely. So if you're cutting, you wanna be at or under your calories, at or above your protein, okay? So an example, so let's say this person, okay, this is a different example, their maintenance is 3,000 calories, okay? So they're cutting on 2,500. 2,500 is their target to cut on. They want to be at or under 2,500 calories, at or over 200 grams of protein, okay? So you just track calories and protein. If you're massing or bulking, you want to be at 2,700 calories. Remember, we can't really say like at or over that number, because if we go over that number, we risk like gaining too much fat, gaining too quickly with our muscle. So we want to be at 2,700 calories, at 200 grams of protein, okay? That's the simplified version of like, you know, how to pick your macro targets. So, oh, here we go. Other really good things to track, okay? Fiber, so protein, carbs, and fats are the only 3 macronutrients. Fiber is another great thing to track. So a good like place to be on fiber is 10 grams per day for every 1,000 calories you're eating. So if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, 20 grams of fiber or more per day is a great place to be. On the other end of that spectrum, you don't want to be like going incredibly high in fiber. It might cause some problems. But if you're like at least at this number or above and you're feeling fine, like you're good on fiber, okay? Another really good thing to track is sodium. There's not really any like, you know, let me get into this one. So like with sodium, like a low sodium diet has become like overemphasized. It's important for like some people with health concerns, but when it comes to fat loss, sodium has nothing to do with it, okay? Let me be clear with that. Fat loss is a product of being in a caloric deficit, not a sodium deficit. But that being said, sodium and fluids, they are very closely related. So in a fat loss phase, what happens to a lot of people, and this happened to me very recently in my last fat loss phase, is when you're in a caloric deficit, you start to crave really salty foods, right? Like foods that are really high in sodium. From those salty foods, you end up drinking more fluids, right? So anytime your body has a lot of salt and a lot of water in it, it holds onto or retains that fluid, and that shows up on the scale, right? So it's totally independent of fat loss. You could be losing 1 pound of fat per week, but holding on to like 1+ pound of water per week, and the scale not budging, and you being really confused. So it's good to track it just to know, like just to have a baseline and know if you're eating like crazy higher sodium than usual and you're drinking a lot of water, and the next day your weight's up by 2 pounds, you can know that it's from sodium. So you can track that really easily in MyFitnessPal, which I'll show you how to do in the 5th video. But those are really good things to keep an eye on. There's really no target for sodium in fluids, but you just want to know what your baseline average is. So that's it for macronutrients, I believe. Yep. So next time we're going to look at meal timing, right? So I hope you guys can see in these videos that we're going into like decreasing more like nuanced, important things as we go on. I think that's true for calories being the most important, macronutrients being less important than that, meal timing even less important than that, and then tracking is super important. So it's not true for the whole video series, but yeah, get your calories right, get your macros right, and then next time we'll talk about meal timing. Like I always say, don't overcomplicate it, just get started. You can always tweak from there. So that's it for this video. See y'all in the next one. Peace.